Hey guys, me again. Welcome back to the Battle of Armageddon, the Abomination of Desolation. I'm just going to rant here as the topics come instead of following an agenda. So, it looks like, I guess a major event in the Civil War started today. I'm not going to mention the event. All you guys know what it is. Like I've been talking about for a while, the oligarchs are going to have to be taken out, removed from the country, taken to Guantanamo Bay, prison, whatever. But things are not going to last the way they're going now. As with the current oligarchs in charge, it's not going to last. It might take several years for this to all play out. Who knows how in the hell it's going to play out? As Thomas Paine wrote during the American Revolution, these are the times that try men's souls. And he spoke of the sunshine soldier and the summer, whatever, sunshine patriot, and versus those who are really know what's going on and take action to do stuff. Who knows where the hell it's going to go? But if we exit the physical plane, we're not quite sure physically what's going to happen, but on a spiritual plane, we kind of sort of been feeling this for a while. Probably, like I said, 2012 was a major spiritual shift, 2012, 2013, in the psyche of just about everybody. And I think we all recognize that, either looking back or if you were awake at that point, you felt it big time. Major changes since 2012. Around the world, spiritually, people, you're probably not the same person you were before 2012, 2013. I know I'm certainly not. Some of my friends, in fact, in the past 5 years, don't recognize me anymore. Because the shifts between 2012, 2013, and now have been dramatic. That's about 7 years. 8 years, something like that, 7, 8 years. Uranus takes about, 7 to 8 years to go through a astrological sign, something like that. Now we're in Uranus and Taurus, which for 7 years, it's going to be massive changes in the financial sector, and all institutions will be crashed and burned. Essentially, all institutions which involve money, law, establishments, any sort of establishment, religion, education, that's all going to be wiped off the map and replaced with something completely new. Same thing that happened in the 1930s. Everything gets wiped out and changed. What's going to happen this time is also the oligarchs are going to have to go away. How that's going to play out in the physical world, I have no idea. I guess if I did know specifically, I could make a lot of money shorting the stocks where it would go the opposite way, right? But what's coming to us is that a lot of things that's been playing out for the last 500 years are coming to a head. When Martin Luther nailed the 95 Theses on the church door in the 1500s, that began the Protestant Revolution. A lot of cool stuff came since the Protestant Revolution. However, civilization has, a beginning, a middle, and an end. So we're approaching the end of Western civilization. So Western civilization was kicked off by the Protestant Revolution, by Martin Luther in Germany. And Germany has been the center of major events for the last 500 years. The traditional center of Western civilization is Paris, France, with satellites in London and Rome, Italy, some places in Italy. And then every once in a while, Spain got pulled in because of its large holdings in the Americas. But mainly Western civilization's core is around Paris, with a strong satellite in London. And then you get, of course, Germany, Berlin. But Germany has always been stuck between the East and the West. It is a Western country, but it's also borders the Eastern country. So Germany feels that East-West tension, even though it's a Western nation. Same thing with Poland. Poland. It's an Eastern country, but it has a Western religion, Catholic. So Western civilization is coming to an end. And one of these days I might read from the book and go through what are the commonalities of Western civilization that does not appear in any other civilization. Individualism, analysis, the noble savage, or what's commonly referred to as primitivism. Those who are less civilized or some weird way more noble than those who are civilized. So you get a bunch of themes in Western civilization that doesn't appear anywhere else. So that's all coming to a crash right now. And you see the crash in the narratives. And of course, narratives are always controlled by oligarchs. But you can tell the oligarchs have no fucking clue what civilization they're part of. We know. Those of us who know, we know. And so we can see it, obviously, what's crashing. Those of us who know. And how do you know you know? Well, you just know you know. Just leave it at that. Those of us who know, we know. We know each other. We know who we are. And we recognize the others that are in the same camp as us easily. And you can't put it in words how to recognize it. We just know each other. We know if we're on the same tribe, the same team, same spiritual family. It's easy to recognize. But it's unspoken, unconscious. So what's happening here? So in the last 500 years, the evidence is coming out, and we've been kind of feeling and sensing this little by little. Some very spiritual, astute people. Look up the guy, a very spiritual former Jesuit. I think he was a Catholic priest until he died, but he was kind of a rogue, not rogue, but an independent, and he might have secretly been ordained a bishop by the Pope, maybe. His name is Malachi Martin. Malachi Martin, look him up. He knew what was going on about 20 years before all this stuff happened. What he discovered, and what I'm actually independently starting to discover also, is that the founders of the United States, the Puritans and the Pilgrims, had among themselves a satanic secret core. And we don't know the details of exactly who were the Satanists. Of course, Malachi Martin might have known exactly who they were. But among the Pilgrims and the Puritans, there were Satanists. When I say Satanists, I mean hardcore, demonic, give yourself over to the dark side Satanist. And what happened during the Salem witch trials was an accident where this knowledge of these founding families around Massachusetts, because Massachusetts is the center of all evil in the United States, because that's essentially where the Puritans still are, even their descendants, and doing their wickedness around Massachusetts. You know, Harvard, Yale, Princeton sort of stuff around that area is where the wickedness is. The ruling families and those who really run the show are Satanists. So they got their start in Satanism when they landed on Plymouth Rock, and again, a lot of the Puritans were Satanists. Very evil people. And then you look throughout American history, there was this development, of course, the Salem witch trials, which were real. Yes, they were devil worshippers and witches, but they might have ensnared some crazy girls to cover up for the fact that a lot of the leading families in Massachusetts were involved in Satanism. And they really came to power in world power, I guess, after the Civil War, during the Industrial Revolution, when it came to the United States in about the 1880s. That's when these oligarchs got established in foundations and secret corporations, or if you want to call them foundations, and started funding with their massive wealth um, various programs in universities and libraries and think tanks, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, to infiltrate society starting about in the 1880s. The first major manifestation of this wickedness was the Federal Reserve in 1913, where the banks in the United States were all consolidated under one wicked bank, the Federal Reserve, which was a copy and paste of the Bank of England, which is another piece of the Satanism in Europe. But we're just going to limit it to the United States during this little chat. And in 1913, they essentially took over the entire American economy by holding fiat currencies, and all the accounts of all the banks across the U.S. had to be resolved through the Federal Reserve in New York. What the fuck was that about? Well, I don't know. Evil, wickedness, control, consolidation, oligarch control of the economy. What happened after 1913? Well, 16, 17, 18, we got involved in a world war which had nothing to do with us. We were baited and brought into that war because if Germany would have won, those bankers would have lost all their money. So we had to come into World War I so the bankers could not get default in their loans. Pure wickedness. 120,000 Americans slaughtered for nothing. World War I had nothing to do with us. And then what happened after that? The Great Depression, 1929. Okay, so 1913, consolidation of the American economy under the big bank. Then these frickin' world wars started, so the bankers can get their money back. So in case Germany won on the battlefield, no, they wanted Germany to lose so they can get all their money. And then comes the Great Depression. So there's two things right after the Federal Reserve wickedness: war, then depression. And what came after the Great Depression of 1929? World War II. So what were the wicked oligarchs after in World War II? Well, the oligarchs all supported Hitler. And this is a little fact that's not taught in the history books, but the American elites, i.e. the Satanists, all supported Hitler. It's obvious from the history books. They all did. Hitler was very popular among the American elites. So why did we enter World War II fighting Germany whenever the American elites, the American evil satanic elites, supported Hitler? Well, Hitler's job, we know now, was Russia. He was hired by the elites to defeat Russia. Russia was the target in World War II. Hitler's job was to defeat Russia. But what happened? An accident happened during World War II, and that is called the Battle of Stalingrad, where the Russians turned the tide, kicked Hitler's ass, and started marching to Berlin. After the Battle of Stalingrad, the American elites had no other option but to invade Germany, to steal all the technology the Germans developed, and to make sure the Russians did not get hold of the German technology. So we did a fake invasion of Europe, fake invasion of Germany, a fake war against Germany so the Russians wouldn't get their hands on German technology and German scientists. That's a story of World War II. And how many people got killed then? Shit, fucking 60 million people. So it's a slaughter of 60 million human beings because the oligarchs thought they could conquer Russia. But the Russians fought back and beat back. But you don't know that story because the official line was Russia was allied to the West in the defeat of Germany, which is actually false. The West was mainly allied. The West, should I say, Western oligarchs Not the people, right? The people have no idea what the fuck was going on. So that's a story of World War II. So there you go. Federal Reserve 1913 followed by World War One, Great Depression, World War II, which the target was Russia, but a mistake happened. Russia fought back and won. And the reason why you should know this is because right after World War II, there was the Cold War. Again, Russia was the target. Why is Russia a target? It has the most natural resources, the biggest landmass of anywhere in the world. Tons of oil, tons of gold, tons of natural resources that is just full of wealth that the oligarchs would love to get their hands on. Yep, and here we are. Since World War II, the target has been Russia, all the natural resources. Again, I'm talking about all oligarchs, not the people of the United States, not the people of Great Britain, France, or whatever. The oligarchs of our Western countries are targeting Russia. They still are. They'll never stop until they're, I guess, defeated, perhaps. So that's what we're dealing with, these Satanists that are manipulating things to take over the world. So once they get Russia, then it's easy to conquer any other place, like, say, China, maybe. Those holdouts that are not under the control of the Federal Reserve system, the dollars that the oligarchs control. So the picture is becoming quite clear here. What's going on? It's like this Armageddon, this abomination of desolation, appears to be the final war against these oligarchs. They've been hiding for hundreds of years, behind the scenes manipulating people with their monetary systems and their intelligence systems and their network of scholars and think tanks, charitable organizations, etc. They rule through charity. They take over countries by fake charity, fake help. Let's send our scholars to help you guys upgrade your natural resources and whatever. They're instruments of destruction are many, manifold. And they corrupt every society they become part of. Corruption, degeneracy, chaos. And that's probably where I'm going to start, not closing this out, but closing that story. There's many other threads to this story we're discovering. Many other threads we're discovering. But that's the broad thread, is the oligarchs have been made manifest to many people. And they can only operate in secret. These oligarchs can only operate in secret. Their system of control does not work when their plans are made manifest. And that's the mother of their crash, is in the information age where anything can be hacked. Any information can be found by anybody who knows how to find it. That has crashed their system of secrecy. And it's going to be quite interesting as this civil war develops across the world, how this is dealt with. Because once the secrets are out, they've been trickling out for about 10 years, but once people realize how real the secrets are and what they are, the consequences will be Armageddon-like, because they have to. It's like, what the fuck is all this shit? That was the real story for 300 years. 400 years. So we're discovering stuff that has been secret for hundreds of years. Very disturbing stuff that's biblical in epic story-like form. It's pretty fucking crazy. And our job as spiritual warriors is to do what we've been doing, staying strong spiritually and purging ourselves of fear, lust, and anger, mainly. Those are the three tools of destruction that the wicked ones use on the population: fear, lust, anger. As long as we stay away from those three emotions and stay strong, the wicked ones cannot touch us. They can harass us, but they can't touch us. They can mock us from a distance, but they can't touch us. We're untouchable. We're the undefeated. We are those who have been here for thousands and thousands of years, waiting for this moment to manifest, to close the page of history on this darkness. Most of us, among ourselves, are old souls. We've been around for thousands, millions of years, whatever language you want to use. We're old souls. And the manifestation in these times is amazing. And the strange thing is, as chaotic as it is, it makes perfect sense that this is how the story ends. This is how the story ends. Before the, whatever you want to call it, the 1,000 years of peace, the 1,000 years of bliss, the 1,000 years of the reign of the saints, whatever you want to call it. 1,000 years, the new millennium, probably a good way to say it. A lot of people have been talking about this age for a long time. So that's what's been going on. So don't be confused, at least here. I mean, mentally, yeah, it could be confusing as what the hell is going on. But right here, just be solid. Get rid of your, don't get rid of it. Sublimate and transmute your fear, lust, and anger so that you can't be touched by it here. And watch the story unfold as the Dark Lords get exposed, made manifest, and then locked into a pit for 1,000 years. And we'll have 1,000 years of bliss and peace on earth, apparently. So that's where we're heading. So explaining, say, what's going on in politics now with the global abomination of desolation economically, the totalitarian control, the absolute insanity of the narrative that makes no sense, that is absolute lie. We can fight back by sublimating and transmuting the fear, the lust, and the anger that they're trying to trigger us into. Now, just because you're not triggered into fear, lust, and anger does not mean you are passive. It means a righteous fire will be burning in you as we fight the Dark Lords. As Gandalf fights Saruman, whatever. That's where we're headed. The Abomination of Desolation. The ending of the period started 500 years ago and developed over time. The secrets that the elites developed about 300-400 years ago don't work anymore. Their system doesn't work anymore. They're desperately manifesting desperation in their totalitarianism that they can't hide. They would probably prefer to hide their totalitarianism, but they can't because it's desperate. Their entire system depends on secrecy. And the rope is tightening around their necks. So it suggests they don't have time to even think about strategy. They're desperately responding with totalitarianism, which is fear, which means the Dark Lords, the oligarchs, are trembling in fear. Because if they were not trembling in fear, they would not be using the tool of totalitarianism. They're using lust and anger to manipulate the masses, to manipulate the people everywhere. So that's where we are here, not extemporaneously, but just talking through what's going on here and how to think about it. How to keep your soul, and how to navigate it. Like I said, the thinking, conscious thinking might sometimes be confusing or maddening or frustrating, but if you're solid here, you're good. Because your brain is just a tool to deal with conscious everyday things. The soul is pointed to its direction. At least it's supposed to be pointed to where it is supposed to go. As long as your soul is pointed in the direction of your mission, then you're good. So let's close this out. Appreciate you watching this. Materialist people would call this a rant. The good folks would call this meditation on the status of the Dasein, Heidegger's concept of Dasein. We'll move into Heidegger's concept of Dasein probably in future chats like this, into where we're going to go and how the world will be organized, reorganized moving forward, because the current system doesn't work, because it's based on secrecy. And that doesn't work anymore. And things being made manifest into the world from secrecy is the oligarchs can't rule, because that's their modus operandi. There's their mode of operation for several hundred years, and they don't know anything else. So they're gasping desperation and fear with the totalitarianism. And that's where we are here, guys. Take care of your soul. Be safe. All that means is when you see fear, lust, and anger percolating up in yourself, transmute it, sublimate it, transmute it, and you'll be fine. All right, let's turn the camera off. Till next time, goodbye.